Welcome to New in Nashville. I'm Pacey on New Country 105.1 here with Brandon Ratcliff, who is one of the really, like, I feel like you've got this personality that I feel like, God, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, that a lot of artists don't have.
Oh, dude.
You seem a lot more social.
Thank you, God, dude. Thank you so much. Well, I actually kind of figured this out on this radio tour, honestly, because as you know, in Nashville, radio tour is kind of notoriously a tiresome thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
For sure.
But I think, I think God just blessed me with an extroverted personality. So for me, this part of the thing is fun.
Comes natural.
Yeah,
to you,
I like it. Yeah, it doesn't tear me down as much as it does. I have friends who are very introverted, as you know. Most musicians are very introverted.
Right.
And so this is more of a chore to them.
Yeah.
But to me,
I feel like when I talk to other artists, it's almost exhausting to them.
Yes, totally. And I have those friends, I know, and it's just who they are. It's their personality. But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I was just blessed with a good personality for this.
I mean, it seems like it. So like,
Thank you, though. I appreciate that, seriously.
How do you musicians, I feel like they put their energy into making music.
Totally.
And so that's not what exhausts them. What exhausts them is being social. Is it opposite for you? Is like making music exhausting for you, or?
No, I love it, man. That's to me my favorite part. Songwriting is the kind of the thing that moved me to Nashville. So songwriting is, man, yeah, I live by it. I actually can't wait. If one thing radio tours made me do is made me look forward to getting back and writing songs.
Right.
But no, man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the part that does exhaust me, honestly. I mean, at the end of the day, too, you have those moments where a person like me, sometimes I'm like, I go 90 to nothing.
Right.
And so sometimes in the moment, I don't even realize how tired I am. And then later that night, like, last night, for instance, we're flying into Sacramento. We get in like 12:40. At that time, you start going like, yo, I'm tired, man.
Right.
I'm really tired. But it sometimes just takes me a while to get there,
Yeah. So you mentioned that you moved to Nashville. So you moved from a really small town.
Yes, very small. Yes.
What was the name of it?
Cotton Valley, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah. I usually get a resounding crickets from that. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like, because one of your songs is pretty much about being from a hometown and
Right.
going back and revisiting.
Totally.
So like, kind of go. I guess like, what is it like growing up in a small town and then moving to a big city like Nashville?
Yeah, dude. Well, first of all, I loved living in a small town. It kind of made me who I am, and I really deeply appreciate being from the middle of nowhere, kind of, and growing up, having to drive 30 minutes everywhere to go to like a town or
Right.
a grocery store or the Walmart, as they call it in the South.
Walmart.
The Walmart. Yeah. But yeah, man, and now being in Nashville, I live right in the Melrose area in Nashville, so like right off 8th Avenue, and everything is like 5 minutes for me. I can get to downtown 5 minutes, I can get to the Gulch 5 minutes, I can get to East Nashville 5 minutes. So the traffic is one of the biggest pains in the world.
I bet.
But I will say I do get spoiled to just being able to like hop down the street, go walk down the road and get a beer at 12 South Tap Room or something.
Right.
That is something we're not used to in the South.
Right.
Everywhere's like a trek, man.
To just go and get a drink.
To just go and get a drink.
Do they even have Uber there right now?
Oh, dude, no, Uber's not a thing. Yeah. And if it was, I would not take it down there.
Okay.
No, I would just rather hitchhike or something.
Right, exactly. So you mentioned that you have a kind of a claim to fame with Alison Krauss, right?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to know her. She's been a part of my life for basically since I was born. My mom and my family was in a band called the Cox Family. So
Right.
They played a lot of bluegrass, traditional country, things like that. My mom sang with people like Dolly Parton,
Wow.
Emmylou Harris, all kinds of people growing up, Charlie Daniels. And so I was lucky enough to kind of see a lot of that and be around it. But Alison specifically has just been, she was a huge part of our family for years. She's produced several of their records. They've sung harmony, wrote songs for her, and so I've kind of really known her forever. And like I said earlier, when I first moved to town, she was kind enough to let me stay in her basement for a little while, while I was kind of getting my feet wet.
So you're not living there anymore?
No, not anymore. Yeah, I'm out now.
Do you I imagine she probably has a mansion, so do you miss really?
No, she doesn't actually. Yeah, I know, I get that. Some people really do think, they're like, man, I bet it was huge. I'm like, no, she lives in this very quaint, you wouldn't even know, like you just drive by, it's a very quaint house on I won't give her address.
Right.
That's it, yeah.
But
I
it's
was to drop the line right there.
Right.
So sorry, Allison.
Was it in Nashville or was it like kind of the outskirts?
Yeah, it's right in the middle of Nashville, actually.
Okay, cool.
You would just drive by and not even know. I mean, it's just it's actually a super small house, old like historic home, you know.
Right.
But yeah, beautiful little place, but very small and quaint.
So was it like, do people stop you and they're like, especially if you're hanging out with her, like do you ever hang out with her in Nashville and people are like, oh my God, Allison Krauss, who are you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I usually, specifically with my family, the Cox family, you know, they kind of, every once in a while, it's kind of the Cotton Valley thing all over.
Right, right.
I go like, my family's a band called the Cox family. And nobody really knows. And then I go, they sang a lot with Allison Krauss, people like that growing up. And then people were like, Allison Krauss? And I'm like, Allison Krauss. We all know Allison, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, there was times, you know, growing, like when I would go out with her or something and people would see me with her and, you know, it's Allison, you know.
Right.
And so I would just kind of fade into the background, which I'm okay with. I'm fine with that.
Is that the same, do they start the Cox Communications or is that kind of a different family?
No, different family, yeah. I wish we had some kind of ties to that.
Right,
know?
exactly.
Might be a lot more lucrative, I guess. But
Right,
yeah.
right. So let me ask you this. You not only pulled like your musical inspiration from country, but you also said that, you know, you pull from R&B,
totally,
classic rock, and like who are your biggest inspirations?
Yeah, man. So I always accredit my mom to, you know, not only their music was a huge influence to me, but really my mom just made me a fan from the time I was like a kid. You know, I remember the minivan rides to school, you know, and 30 minutes at a time, like I said, you know, and we would just listen to everything growing up. My mom used to kind of school me and my brother on just great music, great songs. And so it was things, for me, it was things like Fleetwood Mac.
Right.
Daryl Hall, John Oates, Stevie Wonder was that R&B influence, was a huge one to me. And then obviously the country guys like Glenn Campbell, Merle Haggard, Ricky Skaggs. And then as
Merle Haggard is from Bakersfield. It's like 3
dude,
hours south of us.
I know. We're going to be, I guess, in that neck of the woods sometime soon. But yeah, man, but all those guys were, I mean, I listened to so much growing up. And then obviously the 90s were, you know, the 90s country was huge.
Right.
And the 90s R&B was also huge. You know, there was a lot of the, like All for One, Cut I Swear, and so did John Michael Montgomery, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that kind of stuff. And then for me, the guys who really made me want to write songs were John Mayer, and then Eric Church was a massive influence to me too.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you, when you pull inspiration from someone like John Mayer, he's known as a player.
Oh, totally.
Is that you're aspiring to be that as well?
Well, I'm aspiring to be a player.
Right.
Not a player like John is.
Right.
But yeah, he inspired me so much writing songs. I remember the first time I heard In Your Atmosphere live in LA, and I was just blown away. It was the first time I was like, dude, I want to write music. And ever since then, it's the thing that speaks to me. It's kind of the lifeblood of what I do. And then also I try to be a moderately good guitar player too. I don't like to put myself on the level of John Mayer, but one day maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I mean you were pretty good up there.
Oh, dude,
it clearly looks like you know what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
What going back to the music aspect of it, like what age did you fall in love with music essentially?
Dude, so for me, like I said, I was always a fan of music. There was really never a time I didn't love listening to music, but I didn't always want to be a musician. You know, growing up, I guess maybe because my family was in the music business,
right,
I kind of rebelled a little bit against doing music, or at least their thing. And for me, man, I was a huge basketball fan growing up, and so
I mean, you have the height for it.
Yeah,
so.
I did. I kind of capped out at 6'3", so the NBA wasn't.
Steph Curry.
Yeah, I know.
Steph Curry's 6'3".
Yeah, I need to build my speed up, I guess.
Right.
But dude, yeah, that was my first dream. I always tell people that was my first dream, was to play professional basketball. I loved eat, sleep, breathe basketball growing up, and yeah, so for me, that was kind of my first passion. And then I always kind of took lessons, like, you know, I took drum lessons when I was younger, and then I took, you know, guitar. Weirdly, too, I actually quit guitar because I was too focused on basketball.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, and piano was actually weirdly the thing that opened music up for me again. My mom kind of made me take piano lessons, and I have nothing to show for it. I took 3 years of piano lessons, have nothing to show for it. But it weirdly opened up guitar for me again. I randomly one day picked up the guitar again and was like, man, I kind of understand this a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Because the piano, you know, it's just notes. So you get to kind of see, you know, all that The black
Well, plus
keys, the white keys, you get to
Yeah, and you have to be able to read all the
yes,
clefs.
totally.
You know, so because guitar, I haven't taken music in a while. Guitar, is it treble or is it what clef is that in?
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Come on, this is where piano would have paid off.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like the things that our parents make us do, we like hate at the time.
Yeah, totally.
But then later we're like, oh, that was
Dude,
actually pretty
you
cool.
appreciate it, yeah. And for me, that kind of opened up the world of guitar for me. And so I'm kind of, even though I don't play much piano, I'm forever grateful for it because it was the thing that made me go like, wow, guitar is actually fun. I enjoy playing guitar now. And I could hear chords different. I could hear the notes different. And so that kind of, to me, opened my brain up a little bit. But then the thing that really made me want to be a musician again was just, I loved playing, I loved singing, but I find that there's a lot of singers, there's a lot of players, but there's not a lot of artists.
Right.
And I didn't ever feel like I had something to say until, I moved to Nashville. I started writing songs. That was, it took me 2 years to find kind of my tribe of guys, my people that I write with. And that was kind of the thing that made me, I always say, I found my thumbprint, my characteristic. It was like I never knew how to answer the question of like, what are you as a musician? But I knew that when I wrote with these guys, we wrote Brandon Ratcliff. It was just me. And so that was the first time I ever felt the feeling of like, I have something to say, And to me, that gives credence to an artist. That makes you the difference between, like I said, a singer and an artist.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to find what makes you unique because there's so many artists out there at this point, So you have to kind of like find out what makes you unique, and then kind of play to that and almost exaggerate it a little bit.
Totally, yeah. Find your. They always say, I had somebody tell me just recently. Actually, they were talking about a really good friend of mine, actually a writer in town named Barry Dean, was talking about the boss, Bruce Springsteen, and about how at some point he became the boss.
Right.
Everybody chose he was the boss, and he could either accept that he was the boss, or he could be another guy. It's his choice. But he decided, you know what, I'm putting Chucks on, I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be that guy. I'm not wearing suits to the award shows. I'm going to be the boss. And he became, and the same thing with Eric Church, he becomes the chief, puts the sunglasses on. Now it's like, he's the chief, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, say with like, Dolly Parton, she became the person wrapped in plastic, and that's everyone has their own thing. I love it.
Their own thing, man.
So last question, what is like if you were to see them on the street, like who would be your starstruck moment of meeting?
Oh man, I got to be honest with you. I know I hate to say these names over and over again, but for me it would probably be John Mayer. I really I kind of idolized him I think he's one of the greatest songwriters, writers, performers, musicians of our generation, if not in music history. I think he's just that incredible.
Yeah.
So for me, I would just love to pick his brain and just I'd be like, yo, you want to get coffee? Or,
right, exactly. He's like, I'm kind of busy. I am John Mayer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, I would talk his ear off if he let me.
Right, exactly. Dude, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. You've got, you're one of the few artists that I feel like is, very easy to talk to and like very, very social, and I'm not putting down other artists.
Totally, I get that.
Because a lot of people, put all their energy into music. So how you have any energy, period, I don't understand, but
Dude, thank you so much, man. That means a ton to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I definitely see you going far because you definitely have star quality for sure.
I appreciate that. God, man, made my day.
Brandon Ratcliff, thank you so much for joining us on New in Nashville.
Thanks, man.